1, 2, 1, 2. Hey guys, welcome to the designsketchbook.com, and today we are going to see how to draw basic forms from 2D to 3D. So basically we're going to use a square, the triangle and the circle to make them become a 3D forms like the cube, the prism, and also the sphere or the cylinder. So it's going to be more like a workshop format, and I invite you to take a pen, some paper, and you can draw with me. And whenever you need, you can press stop, pause, and then carry on. So we can study step by step. Okay. So that's quite a particular format that I would like to experiment with you guys, and let me know what you think about it. Okay, so let's start it. Let's start. So we got the square right here, basic form. You have the triangle and you have the circle. So all these are the 2D shapes. Up. And the question mark is how to make them become 3D forms. 3D forms. Up. Okay, so to have a rough preview of what we are going to see. So basically the square here is going to give you a cube like this. Remember the game when you was a kid, like mostly made of wood, like you have some cutout shape and then you have to go through, put the volume inside. So we are going basically to play that. So the square give you a cube, and it can give you also with the same base of the square something more rectangle, because you can actually create the variation of changing the length. You still win with the cutout game. And the triangle you can get with a square base in perspective. Up, you're going to get what I would call a prism. But I'm not sure prism got 4 sides though. So it's like 1, 2, 3 behind, 4 behind. Okay. And a bit more of line weight. Okay. And this one has a square base, but you can also have, guess it, a circle base. Which is basically here an ellipse, because whatever like is a circle shape, whenever is going to be in perspective. Let's say I have this thing here. This pot is a bubble tea bubble tea container, but I use it to put my pens. So basically what you have here is a circle right here, which is on the top view. And if you see it in perspective, it becomes an ellipse. Can you see? So that's basically what we are going to get it here. So you have one ellipse on top and you have another ellipse at the bottom. So let's go back to our cone. Here we go. We got a cone right here. And this one has a circle base. And here for the circle, we are going to get with a sphere. So how to represent a sphere in perspective fast? So we got the circle here, and I trace 2 ellipses. One horizontal and one vertical. Here we go. This is the front intersection and the back intersection. Pop. Okay, so this is called the contour lines right here. Contour lines. They are invisible lines, but that helps you to understand the volumes. So it's got one here and one here also. with this circle, you can also have a cylinder. So you do a first ellipse on top, which is basically a bit thin, and bottom you're going to do something a bit a bit taller here. See the difference? Then you join. Okay, so this is a cylinder, and quickly you can add this. I'm going to explain to you how to get these lines after, more in details. Here we go. So this is how we get roughly very fast from 2D to 3D. Bit more of line weight, make it more cool. You see scratching the bed. And you have Katie behind me, sleeping. It's too little dog. Okay, let's carry on. What you need to know is that actually the cube right here is what I would call the master cube. Everything is going to be built from this cube as reference. Let's draw here the master cube. Did you play a Street Fighter? So how to draw the cube first in perspective. So if you want to have a more detailed steps, is going to be on the designer starter kit that I invite you to download on the blog. So basically here we have the horizon line, is like also called the eye level. So we call this horizon line or eye level. It's like, let's say I'm seeing this object in front of me, the horizon line will be here. Okay, if it's here, the horizon line will be here and the object will be below. So let's say this is this cup, now is in front of me, like this. Okay, if visualize an invisible line like this, it's like if this object is here. Hey, Lucy. And if my eyes are here and the object is below, it's like this cup is actually going to be here, below. Okay? If it's on the left of me, it's going to be here. And so on. On the right, will be like this. And on the top, then it will be like this. Okay? So the horizon line is the eye level. Alright, so let's draw a cube in perspective. What I like to do is to draw the top surface, then the front line, and after that I reconstitute. So I have the top surface, I project it below, and then I draw the bottom surface corner. And that really helped me to better pre-visualize the cube before I draw it. Here we go. So a bit of bold to see it clearer. So always start very light your drawing, so you can readjust your line and iterate, and then after you bold. Okay. And now what we would like to do is to duplicate that cube just beside it, but we wonder in perspective where will be this duplication. So there is a geometrical technique. You need to draw the diagonal, you trace a horizontal line, and then this dot has this crossing line. Let's reproduce it for the third step. You are going to connect it with the corner and you extend it, and per magic this distance is going to be exactly the same as the cube itself. So here is 2D flat from front view, and it happened that in geometry is actually applicable in perspective as well. Is pretty magic. So the two diagonals, I prolongate the line, which is going to go to the vanishing points. This one follow. I got this dot, I connect to the corners, I prolongate it there, and by magic I just draw a vertical line right here. Okay, and then you got this projection of this cube exactly the same in perspective, side by side. And then I'm going to project this front view to the back part of the cube. So I invite you to go through step by steps. Just don't hesitate to press pause for this tutorial. It's pretty easy actually. Okay. So once again, you need to go through the designer starter kit to have all the step-by-step details to draw a cube in perspective to simplify the comprehension of this. So here what I would like to do is to show you how to I draw the contour lines. So I draw the diagonals, I got the center, then I prolongate the vertical right here. Then for the top view I do the same. Hopla. And then I'm going to connect the middle point with the edges. Here we go. That goes to the vanishing point as well. It's really important to, in design sketching, to decompose everything using simple geometry to draw, to divide, to subdivide. Because once again, the cube is a master cube. This is where everything will be embedded. So take your time. So here we go, we got the contour line right here. I'm going to draw the transparency behind with the little dash. Up, can you see it? It's like the cube is transparent. I draw a cross and then I add the center of the top surface and I connect it to the center of the bottom surface and I got a vertical line. It means I have done a good job. Okay? Let's carry on with the contour lines that are on the front surfaces right here that are horizontal. If you would have this cube just in front of you, that goes to the vanishing point behind. Vanishing point right, vanishing point left, I go VP. So basically, just as a quick reminder, this is a setup that you learn in the designer starter kit, step by step. So after practicing with the wall setup, you will be able to draw this cube without this setup. It will train you to better visualize in 3 dimensions. But whenever you need it, use it. Okay? So it's all about simple geometry. It may look a bit like overwhelming when you are a beginner, but when you learn step by steps, it actually all makes sense. So here is for the square shape. Now let's carry on with the triangle shape and how we're going to draw it in 3 dimensions. So notice that this is symmetrical. So whenever you see an axis of symmetry, it will make your life easier. But it's good to notice it. So we start with a cube right here. And we are going to use that bottom surface of this cube as a base of this pyramid. So can you see it? Where it's flat, we interpret it here as a square surface. But on the top, where is this tip? So how to get it? Can you guess it? We draw the diagonals, because with the diagonals you get the center. Bim, bim. This is very basic geometry, right? So the diagonal, center right here, and what you need to do is to connect it to the square edges, the little corners. Here we go. Don't hesitate to draw the line, go beyond the dot. I give you also some straight line exercises in the designer starter kit, by the way, to improve your quality of line. And I like to add the extra contour line right here that I consider to be more clarifying the form. Add some hatching also to show that the different surfaces are different. It helps to have this 3D perception of your volume. So the starting cube was like your construction lines. You use it to build, to construct the base of your pyramid. Okay. And now what if we want to draw the pyramid, but with the square surface at behind right? So we are doing the exact same logic. So basically by following this, you don't really have to pre-visualize your pyramid 100% before drawing it. If you know how to build it correctly, you draw the cube first, and then after you just follow the steps and you will build your pyramid the right way, the right proportions. Okay, so we got here the center that we need, the peak of the pyramid. Then you connect. Easy, right? So these construction lines are actually essential to draw something that is actually I wouldn't say accurate, but something that totally makes sense and is easy to communicate with. Okay, so you can draw from any angle when you know the simple geometry of design sketching. You have to see that both forms are following the same geometry logic. And this is how you will be able to start drawing anything you want, and things will become more and more easy. So yes, I show you how it is important to improve your memory of forms, to build your own library of forms and draw anything to study. But you also need to have this memory of process, system, logic and techniques, because these are going to really give you some wings to always improve more. So this is a very basic volume. If you understand this, you will progress a lot faster. Really, drawing is like a game, and this is maybe why I like drawing so much, and maybe you too. And I'm glad to share all these things with you. Because even though they may look simple, sometimes, most of the time when we're a beginner, we don't think about this. Up some contour line right here. Add some hatching on this surface, and on the next one we also had hatching, but with a slightly different angle of direction. See, this one is like 45 degrees. This one is a more vertical. It helps to really appreciate that these two surfaces have different angle. So even though I like to draw loose, the hatching are very neat here. And what I invite you to do is also to practice after studying the form, which has been with the cube. Try again with a loose line to draw it without the cube. Okay? And remember to draw very loose. Here we go, add some bit more line weight at the bottom. Drawing with loose lines. Add some hatching right here. So the hatching adds some clarity to your drawing. Okay, now it's time to draw from the circle shape. And what you need to know is that every circle is embedded in a square. Now let's cut it like a pizza. I would say across the diagonal. I got the center, then I do the vertical and the horizontal that are like the symmetry axis. Okay, half, 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 half. Here we go. So I'll draw a circle right here. Then I'll draw the horizontal ellipse, then the vertical ellipse. So ellipse horizontal, number 1. Then ellipse vertical for the number 2. So I add the cross in front and the cross behind. It's really magic to see how it can add clarity. Like we have just a circle, 2 ellipses, this cross and this extra axis, and you have a sphere. You don't need to spend a lot of time drawing like shadow with all the shade, the gradients. It's just few lines and a few in a few seconds you can draw a sphere. So remember that as well as the circle is embedded in a square, the sphere is embedded in the cube. So we are not going to go too much into the detail right here, but what you would see is that see this section here in the middle of the cube, this is where you draw the horizontal ellipse. And we will get also the vertical section of this cube that is going to give you the vertical ellipse. And I like to add this extra axis crossing from the back intersection to the front. And then can you see how with these 2 ellipses it helps you to draw the sphere? So on the left you have the sphere, which is the easy way. And on the right this is a sphere but the more advanced way. It's always good to see where the foundation comes from. So now it's time to draw a cylinder. So you see that we have this rectangle that is actually the length of the cylinder, which is also symmetrical. So we draw the 2 ellipses that we have joined. Remember that the top symmetry is smaller than the bottom one because it's below the horizontal lines. And now let's draw some variation of this cylinder for fun. Because when you learn a logic, a trick, a technique, try to create variations. What if the bottom ellipse is much more narrow? And then when you connect, can you see this? You have like something like an inverse cone, but which is truncated. And now we are going to get some curve, maybe like a vase, a flower pot. Here another type, maybe a glass with some curve on both sides of this, what was initially a cylinder. This is really the magic of sketching. So remember that you have like the top surface embedded in a square that is helping you to draw the contour lines. Same for the bottom. And then we can connect. Bold it a bit. Now I like to add a bit of hatching here to emphasize the volume. Ta-da! So I invite you to practice with some. Here we go. So this one is a reverse engineer technique, I would say. So if you make sure that you practice with the designer starter kit once again. Hop là, un hatching. So here is a very quick shadow. Axis of symmetry here, that the center of the top square and the center of the bottom square are linked and give you a vertical axis. So you can really enjoy drawing infinite variations of volume. And then with this cylinder, I can add also some hatching here to emphasize more that the roundness of this cylinder. And here, make sure that you have a hook on the side of the cylinder. Don't do something that is pointy like that, which is a very common beginner mistake. So you do the ellipse, and then on the side, make it really like rounded hook. Okay? So your volume won't look flat. It's a little trick that makes a lot of difference. So when you draw design sketching, you really have to understand all these logics of simple geometry. And if you love that, it's a lot of fun. So now it's time to assemble these basic forms. So we have some basic form of 2D right here. It's like Lego somehow. And then you can translate them into 3D forms. Like the first one looks like a house. The second one is like a water dispenser. Like the base is like a cube, inspired from a cube. And the top, which is a giant 19 liter of water, it has a cylindrical shape, cylindrical form. And here you can combine the sphere with a box, and then this box actually it helps you to draw something which is more like a cone, inverse cone. You can draw some random assemblage, as random connections, random fusion of these forms. And then you have to decide whether you want to box, you want a sphere, whether you want a square at the base or circle as a base. This one maybe looks like a lamp. So that's how, like, when you increase the difficulty for every single exercise, you keep progressing more and more. It's all started from 2D forms, and then after you develop in 3D with perspective rules. Let's carry on. Here we got a circle that I'm going to cut on top, and then I add a cone on it. Ta-da! So more you draw, more you exercise, the more it will become intuitive. So whenever like you have some free time, you can doodle some. Because when you learn how to draw with techniques and strategy, you figure it out yourself how to draw stuff. You may have never seen these forms before, so you cannot copy them. You can create your own forms. And you won't know from beginning how to do, but you know that you have the capacity to figure it out because you know the logic of symmetry and geometry. Can you see in orange? This is a connection. It's like when you draw, it's like keeping solving some little enigma one by one, and it's very fun because it's not that difficult at the end. When you see a complex drawing, it's basically a succession of many simple steps. That's how you need to think of it. So I'm trying to draw some new forms here. Try to make the connection between the 2D to the 3D. They follow the same rules, it's just that you apply them in perspective. And whenever you wonder, you feel stuck, always find answer in the foundation of sketching. This is the key to progress, and this is the key for you to become independent as a sketcher. Okay, so let's have a quick recap of what we have seen here. So we saw how to draw these basic forms, basic volumes of ID sketching, which is actually applicable for manga, for architectures, for fashion designs. So get the power of sketching. So you go from 2D to developing your 3D vision. Then you learn how to duplicate a cube by showing you that how geometry is applicable. Up, is very simple rule. Okay. So we add some contour line that are super essential to sketch very fast because you can represent volumes in just a few minutes or sometimes even few seconds. So you do some fast 3D sketches. That's what is going to help you to communicate fast and efficient. Okay, once again, it's simple geometry, step by step. It may look complicated, it may look overwhelming when you're a beginner, but when you learn the steps, it becomes easy. Because once again, it's a succession of many simple steps. It's like you're reading a sentence, it's many succession of letters. And after a while, when you know how to read, you see the words, you see the sentence very fast. Learn the techniques and then you become intuitive. And all start from building the forms from a cube. And the simple trick here is to start drawing the three first axes of the front corner and then you reconstitute the cube. I invite you to make a try. It quite helps to actually begin this cube in perspective. I quite like this tip. And that's how, by training drawing the cube in perspective from any angles, you will be able also to draw this pyramid in any angle. This pyramid or sphere of cylinders. Okay, and after studying the form, I invite you for the first step to study and the second step to draw very loose. So circle in the square, in the sphere, in a cube. And with the cylinder right here, we really enjoy to twist and we take profit of creating some variation, and then we can assemble them. It's like really like a game. Okay. So you need to, I really invite you to analyze that product around you. For example, I have a GoPro. A GoPro is basically a box with a tiny box, which is a lens with a lithosphere inside. Okay. The GoPro is just basically some 3 volumes. And the water dispenser is a giant box with a volume on top, cylinder on top. And the fridge is basically a big box with 2 doors that are rectangular shape. And here is a water dispenser. Okay, try to identify how many volumes the product around you is composed and what type of volume they are. By being able to simplifying stuff, you will get a lot more powerful. Build your capacity to simplify things. You will enhance your sense of observation, and it applies on human, animals, insects, not only products. Okay, something complicated, divide it into small chunks, I would say. So if you can take some photo and draw on top of the photo. So, like for example, you have the cooking-ware here. It's basically a box for the handle and something like a cylinder for the cooking part. Let's imagine there's a lot of food inside, some chicken maybe. And what is fun is that these 2 volumes, you just need to change the proportion of them and you can create another product. So we have cylinder plus box. What other products could we create? A camera, for example. You also have a box and a cylinder connected to it. Do you see how much more freedom you can get when you know how to draw these basic volumes? Same logic as the magic of it. So when you go through all these fundamentals, like from the last half an hour, when you arrive here, you progress a lot more. Many small steps, one after another one. Alright, so I hope you enjoy it. And once again, feel free to download the Designer Starter Kit on the blog, and I see you for the next video tutorials. Bye bye!